Hello, my friends. I'm so glad you're back because today we're going to continue talking about how to get your story out there and how to really just blast the world with it, okay? We want to just sprinkle it out there in so many different places without totally burning you out and without totally exhausting yourself and your resources, okay? We're going to do this mindfully. But today's video is really about just leaning into the world of pitching yourself. When you write a book, you're not really selling the book necessarily, you're selling yourself when you're trying to get people to vouch for you. So when you put your neck out there and say, I'm just going to ask, then you really start stepping it up as an author who wants to get their message shared with the world. So when we talk about pitching, it's not pitching to get your book published. It's already published at this point. But you may be pitching material that you've written to be, supplementary material. So blog posts, articles, stories about your writing or stories about the book. You have to figure out what material you are willing to pitch and what material you enjoy talking about. It's going to be related to your book, but not necessarily about your book. It can be about your book depending on the places you're pitching. But this is really about thinking outside the confines of your book. If you have a book, let's say, about a certain topic like divorce, might you be able to talk about finding a good lawyer or rebuilding your life as a single person or online dating or whatever it is post-divorce? There's so many blogs, magazines, websites, all that stuff out there that perhaps would be willing to publish one of your pieces. So that's what we're talking about today, getting out there and pitching yourself as a writer, as someone who wants to talk in this space about these types of things. So if you didn't watch my last video, that's okay. I'm going to repeat myself here a little bit. What I want you to do is sit down and make a list of topics that are related to your book's story, essentially. So again, going back to my divorce example, I might sit down and say, okay, my book is about how to rebuild your life after divorce. There's probably 37 million places I can write about or that are interested in hearing about my divorce story or what I've learned through my divorce. But let's get nuanced here. Do I have children? How did I deal with my children in my divorce? How do you start dating after divorce? That type of thing. So you're going to write down 5-10 topics. Maybe you want to format them as article titles just to really keep yourself focused on what are the best resources? What are the best places here that you can pitch? Magazines and blogs and all of that, newspapers. Think locally. If you want to find some traction with your book, there is so much going on locally that they would be willing to take a risk on for you since you are there and you will bring your readership with you physically. Just as an example, one of my previous clients said she contacted her local Barnes and Noble and said, hey, yeah, I'm a local author. Do you guys ever, take a couple books from a local author? And they said, we'd love to. We'll even schedule a book signing and all of that. So they're taking a risk on you, not because they've decided that your book is going to fly off the shelf. Let's not pretend it won't, but let's just be, this is the real deal here. You're a local person. You're a real life person that you're going to bring your readership with you, like especially to a book signing. And what happens when people walk into Barnes and Noble? If you're like me, you buy way too many books that will take you months to read or years, who knows? All I do is buy books. Whenever I'm at a bookstore, at a library, all I want to do is rent books, and then they sit there and look at me and I want to read them all, but I have to feed children and work, so it doesn't work. Anyway, the point is, local is a really great place to think about. So local newspaper, maybe your school alumni newsletter, whatever it is that you are connected to personally, that maybe they'll recognize your name or they'll recognize like, oh, hey, she's from around here, whatever it is. And then topically, your subject matter. And here's the deal. You're going to have to be brave. You're just going to have to be brave and throw it out there. There are no shortage of places that you can really talk about your book in, okay? You're not just looking for resources that are wanting to talk to you about writing a book or your book's topic or whatever it is. There's so many different places. So get creative and be brave. That's what I tell my little girl. Be brave, Avon. I say, you just have to be brave because you're going to get no's, and that's okay. That's okay. But any chance you don't take is a chance that you're not going to connect with those readers. And what's the worst that can happen besides them saying, no, thank you, we're not interested? Okay, cool. No worries. I'm going to take my article this way. So you sit down, you make your list of topics. Perhaps you write out, a couple articles so that when you're ready to pitch, you have them available. And think about the benefits to doing this. Now, the downfall is you don't reach anyone, but there's more benefits than reaching people. If there could be certain places that will actually pay you to produce quality writing for their event or their magazine or whatever it is. There might be something that allows you to get actually paid for this. Just keep that in mind. And then there's the exposure element. And here's another little benefit that not a lot of people think about, but when you are writing for free, and you have your own platform and your own website, they're going to backlink to your website or your book on Amazon or whatever it is. And you can get their link on their site for your website. So Google really likes that. Google likes to see sites are interacting. People are jumping on one site, hopping over here. Google likes that. So SEO, I think you've heard of that term, right? Search engine optimization. That is really good value for you. What that means is when you're ranking better with SEO, Google's putting your website and your book higher up on the list. So it may not feel like it's doing anything, but it does. Just keep that in mind. So take some time to, of course, you're going to have to be interested in doing some writing. So if you're not, you might as well just stop listening to me ramble now. But if you're interested in doing some writing and you want to reach people in that forum, in that manner, then all you have to do is sit down and really get creative. What are the topics that my book is related to, or how can I give value to these other platforms and these other resources that have an audience that could benefit from hearing that message from me? So that's number one. And number two, perhaps you start writing some articles and start pitching. Okay. That's just one element of book marketing. And some of this writing articles and all of that, guest blogging, whatever you want to call it, getting your writing outside of your book, getting your writing featured in other places. Some of that can be built into your bigger strategy of, am I going on a blog tour or whatever, whatever you're kind of thinking is a good fit for you in your book. Some of that can be in here, but otherwise this pitching that I'm talking to can even be done before your book is published if you are trying to just start building your audience and you already have some value to give, or you can do it whenever after your book is published. This is kind of the slow method. This is not going to necessarily be something that helps you with your launch. It's hard work to write a good article. It should not be something that you can whip out overnight. You need to put thought and effort into it because number one, you're trying to impress people with how amazing you are. And number two, you're really trying to give value. And you're trying to give value in a way that draws them to you as the speaker, as the value giver, and not just like another bland article out on the internet about the same thing, just recycled material. Okay. So just another food for thought, piece of the pie, brick to the wall, topic for you to consider when you are on a mission to market your book like a champ. Okay, so come back and we're going to continue talking about other little bricks to the wall here. Pink Floyd's now running through my head. But yes, we are going to continue talking about this. Some of you may have heard of Goodreads, and I would like to talk with you about that. So I'll see you there, right?